Help me here.
Yes, Robert.
Democracy under siege. Is that sort of when you have so siege is sort of like what the Romans did to Masada, right? 3,000 years ago, where you basically you're encircled and you're being attacked from the outside. So aren't we really being attacked from the inside? What am I missing?
Yeah, no, and I really feel like you nailed it, Robert, when you said, supposedly Donald Trump and us crazy right wingers are the ones who are a threat to democracy, quote unquote. So, number one, first of all, yes, I will accept that intended insult. I am a threat to democracy because, like the founding fathers,
you're deplorable. That's what you are.
I'm a deplorable. Okay,
no, you may be the deplorable.
I believe democracy is as much crap as the founding fathers did.
Wait. Can we stop with the term democracy? We have democratic principles, but we're not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic.
That's what I'm saying. People say we're a democracy. No, we're not. And I don't want to be a democracy. Democracy is mob rule, and we don't need that.
Thank you. Exactly.
We're already, and what you said was 100% right. We're already under mob rule. Okay, the Democrats control the education. They control the government. They control the administrative state. And fill in the blank. Where do you go now? Hollywood, movies, media. Journalists or the Democratic Party.
Well,
as they may also be called. But you see what I'm saying? Like, they're all Democrats. They're all controlled by the Democrats. How are we the threat? How?
Well, we're the threat because as they feel, even in a cursory fashion, power or influence or the ability to control the message slipping away from them. Look, if you really want democracy, and let's just use the term democracy in the generic sense. I am not saying we're a democracy, folks. We're a constitutional republic.
But colloquially,
and by the way, if you don't know that we're a constitutional republic, that's because you weren't taught civics in school. Right. And I would argue
all they say is democracy.
Right. But I would argue that was intentional. Right. They want to dumb down, the electorate because, just don't even start me. OK, don't start me on this, please. But at the end of the day, democracy, so to speak, is about an equal airing of values and opinions and differing points of view and having that debate in the public square under the aegis, if you will, of free speech.
Yeah.
Tell me where that exists, because all they try to do is it started, and you've heard this rant before, right? Yeah. First, we went from microaggressions. Then we went to safe spaces, right? Where, oh no, you can't do that because you're offending my little, you're hurting my little self, right? And because I'm,
feelings.
Right, you're hurting my feelings. So we've and that was on academia, and now we've extended the concept of safe spaces into social justice, where you can't say anything. So this guy,
silent. But here's the thing. Hold on. Remember, Robert, words are violence, and silence is violence. Okay, so
you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I'm sorry, you just spoke, so you're a racist. If you speak words.
And by the way, if we're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, then damn the torpedoes full speed ahead is my response to all of this.
Hallelujah.
So, by the way, the guy, and I want to pull this back up because the guy from the member of parliament, Lee Anderson, you should look him up folks. Also, if you remember, he's the guy that said the following about the city of London. Because the truth is that the Islamists, the extremists, and the anti-Semites are in charge now. And he was vilified for making what ostensibly is, maybe it is not 100% factually true, but when you look at all the protests in London and the loss of sort of British values, he's entitled to his opinion. How is that Muslim or he's talking about extremists, and we can get into this whole, and by the way, happy Ramadan, because you are in Ramadan. You do know that Ramadan started, I think it was March 10th.
Yes. Yeah, right? That's what, because we're supposed to be respectful of Muslim holy days, but nobody else's days are respected, Robert.
And we should be respectful. I am not arguing that we shouldn't be, right?
Yeah.
I bring up because it is Ramadan. It's the holy month in the Islamic calendar. I don't claim to be an expert, but what this gentleman, with member of parliament Anderson, is talking about is not sort of traditional Islamic values, right? He's talking about the extreme elements who are preaching against the West and against the infidels, right? And in combination with the in combination with the intolerance and the totalitarianism and the anti-Semitism that you're seeing coming out of the Middle East. And by the way, if you just saw on Twitter, there was a picture of the Grand Imam, I think, during World War II, and they were holding Nazi Germany flags. So you want to see the nexus, folks? That's the nexus. That's what these guys are talking about. So I am not impugning, a great religion of Islam. It's not what I'm doing. Right.
Well, and that's what, this is one of the things people, it's so stupid. And I'm going to say it, and I don't care if I get hate for it. Here's the deal. There's only one religion that I'm aware of that if you mock or make fun of them or their God, that they will come after you and try to physically hurt you. They think that you should be killed for that. The extremists, okay? And yes, there are orthodox extremists, and then there are, reformed Muslims or whatever. But, if you make fun of Jesus, it's not my responsibility to go murder you. If you make fun of Yahweh, it's not my responsibility or your responsibility. And now I'm not Jewish, okay? But you guys, but my religion is based on Judaism.
I mean, it is based on the Old Testament. Right.
Like, I don't remember anywhere in the Bible or the Old Testament where it says that I'm supposed to go physically assault people who don't agree with me. So I'll say it. Not all religions are the same. Coexist is a lie. It's garbage. And we have to be able to tell the truth about that.
Have you read the Quran?
I've read some of it.
Okay,
I'm
so
I've read all of it.
And I don't claim to know everything chapter and verse, but I've read the Old Testament, I've read the New Testament, and I've read what I would call the Super New Testament. And it essentially says, in my opinion, the same thing, which is love God, love man, do unto others, right? Yeah. There are, however, certain sections and passages that in each that is a little bit different. But look, I want to talk about, step back and
okay.
We're talking about wokeism, and we're talking about religion, and we're talking about democracy under siege, right? Did you see what happened in Ireland the other day with the constitutional referendum?
Yes.
They got it. So the woke government puts on the ballot a constitutional referendum to redefine what is a family and to redefine a woman's role, or what the role is of the caretaker in the family. And they got shellacked like 75. Well, one of them, there were two different referendums. One of them was like 68% against, and the other one was 74% against. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, they were redefining the family as a, quote, durable relationship, and they're redefining a mother's role as someone who handles the duties of the home. The first one lost with a 68% vote against, and the second one lost in a 74% vote against.
Wow.
And Varadkar, who is the prime minister, basically, look, I give the guy credit. He took a shellacking and he acknowledged that there was a shellacking. But the real question here, because again, we like to reach outside the U.S. boundaries and let people know what's really going on out there, because we read the news, so you guys don't have to. No, just kidding. But sorry, had to go there. But how disconnected, I mean, when you're driving an ideological agenda like that, to be so disconnected from your electorate. Now, the one thing that does stick out in all of this, and don't quote me on the numbers, but in the 1960s, well over 90% of Ireland, or the Irish people, identified as Catholic. I want to say it is now down in the low 60s. So you can almost see a correlation between the diminishing of the religious influence in Irish society. I would argue in our society as well. I think the numbers back it up. Well, I can't quote you on it. And the rise of wokeism, which we have posited all along, and we had Dr. Bruce Abramson on, whose new book is about wokeism is a religion. So the people have moved away from traditional religion. In Ireland's case, it's Catholicism mostly, right? And they are now embracing this new religion of wokeism. And then you get these knucklehead politicians who go, "Oh, let's redefine. Takes a village to raise a child." That's crap. It takes a two-parent household, right? It takes a mother and a father, and we can talk about that. But I just. Stop me, I'm ranting. It's one of those days.
I am totally with you, Robert. It is, I think what we're seeing all across the West is the collapse of our society, right? We have gotten so comfortable, so prosperous, we have gotten so soft that instead of fighting a common enemy, right? So like back in the day, it was, World War II and we had an enemy. Before that, you could even call like the bubonic plague or like any of these physical disasters, right? There was always an enemy or something to fight against. And now that we have nothing to fight against, we're fighting each other. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's Ireland, United States, Australia, everywhere around the world, the Western nations are eating themselves.
Well, first of all, multiculturalism is eating Western nations. So because of the liberal values, and I use liberal with a capital L, meaning an old liberal society, and really by old traditional standards, I am an old school liberal. I am not liberal in the political sense.
Right, exactly.
But in terms of the values and the freedoms and the civil rights and the civic responsibilities that come with being an old school liberal. By the way, if you call me a liberal, I'm going to come through here and get you. But no, just kidding. What's in a name? Oh, Robert said he was a liberal. No, not that kind of liberal.
No, but our Constitution is a liberal Constitution in the real sense of what the actual word liberal means.
Used to mean.
Exactly.
I mean, look, gay used to mean happy. Okay, let's not go there. Okay, so, and I'm not going after the gay community.
Used to represent Jesus. So we've gone way far off of the rails with this stuff. Right. I think you're right. It's socialism. When we see like the encroachment of socialism and this, which like is basically just another version of this wokeism.
Actually, it's the other way around. Wokeism is just another iteration of socialism, which, by the way, is really just a sort of watered down version of communism. And I know, here we go. People's eyes are going to roll back in their head going, oh, he's going down that road again. But folks, if you don't know your history, you're condemned to repeat it. It's that simple. But I want to come back to, you said that the West is being divided. It starts with multiculturalism, where under these liberal values, we let in everyone, right?
Yes.
And look, every human life has dignity. I'm not arguing against that. But there are cultural norms that if people come into your society or into your country, they're supposed to integrate to become part of the country, as opposed to what we're seeing under multiculturalism, which is this shift of culture based on, what was the expression? I think it was Boumediene. I forget who said demographics or destiny. I don't quote me on that, but the quote is there. But and so you're seeing that happen. And then you're seeing the demise of sort of the traditional Western family structure. Thank you, Black Lives Matter. And therefore you're now seeing sort of in addition to that, sort of a waning of traditional religious Judeo-Christian, let's call them, values. This is an atrophying of a civilization. It's not without it's not without its precedent, in other cultures if you go back through history, but that's what you're seeing here. But I think, trying to emphasize the positive, I think the pendulum is starting to swing the other way, because you're seeing now people like the MP from England, right? Lee Anderson. You're seeing Malaya in Argentina. Look, people are going to vote safety. People are going to vote family. People are going to vote the economy, and this whole wokeism stuff is just crap. But you were talking about dividing us. That's what the 3Ds are. Demonize your enemy, make them bad people, right? Because then you can hate them, or then you can, you don't have to care what happens to them. So you demonize, or actually you demagogue first, right? And no one was better than my favorite demagogue, which is former President Obama, who was the apostle of demagogues, as far as I'm concerned. And then you demonize your opponents, and then you divide the opponents, because if we're divided from each other, it's much easier to rule. It's much easier and by rule, I mean retain power. So demagogue, demonize, and divide. And if you guys don't know, that's what's happened to all of us, because they want us fighting each other.